So I'm honestly not trying to insult you, but you ass. I'm pretty sure that's the way to pronounce US. Let's begin this with a little quiz. What do you think the production year of this one is? When was it built? Write it down in the comment now. Don't cheat. At some point in this video, I will tell you the production date of this van. Unless you know, you will probably not guess the correct date, but you will probably soon figure out that it's not what you expect, because let's take a look at the inside of this. You might think this is modified, but that right there, the speedometer, that's original. There is a lot of stuff in here that is modified, but that part of it is not. This is a Spanish registered UAZ Buhanka. It belongs to a Danish couple who moved to Spain some years back. And the reason why it's here is because they still have family in Denmark. They go to Denmark from time to time. They go a lot of places actually. They told me they did 50,000 kilometers in this thing the last year. So it gets a lot of use. The reason why it's at my place right now is it got some issues that I had to fix, and I have already done that. No videos about that, but I've been changing ball joints, and I thought, yeah, it's probably gonna be pretty easy. It's not that bad, but doing that the first time, it's not as easy as you might expect. Especially the side over there was really stuck. You have to take the axle apart and so on. No filming, unfortunately, but yeah, interesting task. And today I'm gonna give it a little test drive to make sure that everything works. I also have to do some adjustments to the brake and some other stuff. So this is just gonna be a small test drive to make sure that everything is safe enough for the journey back to Spain. But at the same time, I'm just gonna show you guys, because I think some of you think this is a bit of an interesting one. So let's start the tour inside of this thing. Oh yeah. So the owner of this car, and you can follow their Instagram right there, they have done so much stuff to this. As you can see, they really customized it to a quite high degree. A few of you will probably remember that I actually had a UAZ Buhanka on this channel, a project that I unfortunately had to abandon due to some paperwork challenges that I later realized that I could fix. Unfortunately, I sold it, which really was a shame because it was an awesome project. The one that I owned was an old one. This one is from 2020. This car is 6 years old. That's saying something. It's not completely the same as mine. It just looks that way. There's a lot of improvements along the way, but still, this is a very old school thing that is still being built. There is a production range going all the way back to the 60s. But they did so much stuff to this to make it into this campervan. You probably noticed the pop-off roof already, which is home built in a very simple fashion, making it feel almost like it was original. Just take this one off right there, and I can just lift off up the roof. Like so. Take these down. Do the same at the front end. And with the roof up, I can now pretty much stand up, which is quite impressive because this is a very low van. The plans for my own Buhanka was also to make a camper, and it was really a downside because the roof is so low and the floor is so high because of the massive ground clearance that it's not ideal for any kind of living room arrangement. Unless you do this. This is homemade. The top part of the pop-off roof, he told me, was printed in a 3D printer in a lot of small pieces and then glued together. And it's really impressive. It just works. It's so simple and it just works. I love it. And with the roof up, I can stand in the tiny yet very efficient kitchen. There is a stove right there. The cover for the stove doubles as a serving tray. Multi-functions is the way to go when doing stuff like this. Then the sink, a faucet, and a coffee machine. A bit high-tech for this kind of application, but they like coffee, just like me. In here we have the fridge, which is very cold. It's frozen in there, of course, and still is, even though it's been at my place for a couple of weeks. It's living off the grid. It got solar panels on the roof and a big battery box. It's just working perfectly. It's so nice. And then this old furniture is fitting quite nicely. Everything can be locked, of course, to avoid it rattling around and falling out when driving. There's just storage everywhere. Underneath there is a toilet, power outlets. This part can be converted into a bed, full size. Then more storage over here. Very, very nice. USB outlets at the ends. This is what I really like about this. It's really a combination about old agricultural stuff and then everyday things that makes life a little nicer. Let's take a look at the engine, because it's supposed to be underneath that. I think it's a 2.7 liter. Now, I'm not completely sure, but I think the engine dates back to the one that was also in mine. But it has been modernized with fuel injection and so on. Not really completely sure how to remove the cover though. Gonna remove this first. A lot of sound insulation. It's actually pretty nice to drive. We'll get to that later. Haha, there we go. And a prop right there to keep it up. It feels so funky to see an engine like this when I remember the old thing that was in mine. And it is sounding pretty good. Looks quite modern, everything. Fuel injected, of course. Slightly old school ignition coil setup, 2 coils. And then this has also been converted to gas, because gas is quite cheap in Spain and Germany. And this thing is not fuel efficient. I think it gets around 6 or 7 kilometers on a liter. So it's probably nice to save a little bit. Remember, 50,000 kilometers in the last year. Interesting fuel injection system. I wonder if that's the gas system actually. Maybe the injectors are on the other side. Oh yeah, I think I can spot the fuel injector down there. So yeah, got both of them, of course. How cool is this? Pretty cool engine. I can remember from my own US that it got 2 fuel tanks, and it's still the case in 2020. There's one there and there's one on the other side. And the owner used this to convert to the gas tank. So this is no longer a fuel tank. This is for gas, and the fuel and the gas tank is underneath. This, although, is something that he is going to relocate, because if you look at it, you will see how much ground clearance that thing steals. And you don't want to go rock crawling with that thing right there. And everything underneath is quite clean, which is surprising to see considering what I normally work on. But remember, it's a modern day thing. There's an O2 sensor right there, for instance. It's old school stuff, most of it, but it's not that old. It's actually a pretty new car, at least in my world. Up here we have freewheeling hub. I mentioned in a previous video on the valve that it was differential lock. I got that wrong. It's not. It's to decouple the system, so it just freewheels up here, making the drag a little less on the drivetrain when driving on tarmac. But I'm gonna go put the engine cover back on, lower down the roof, and take it for a small test drive to make sure that everything works. And I'm gonna take you guys along. I gotta say, this thing is a passion thing. Before he got this one, he had a Lada Niva. So you can probably guess what he prefers when it comes to vehicles. not the normal kinds. You could probably get a couple of T25 3 or T3 synchro campers for the same price of this. But this is a passion thing, which I really like. This is not necessarily, or pretty much not at all, sensible, but it is very, very likable, that's for sure. And also right now with the world situation with the Europe and Russia being so tense, it's not necessarily the easiest thing in the world to get spare parts for. But it's not the Buhanka's fault that the grown-ups can't behave. So let's go. The first thing that springs to mind driving this is it's amazing how smooth the engine feels. It really feels cultivated. And it's probably not a big surprise because it is a pretty modern engine. It got fuel injection and all that. And last time I drove one of these was a carb, the very, very old version of it, which was definitely more agricultural feeling. But it's a very smooth running engine and also quite powerful. I'm currently in third gear and pulling away quite nicely. It feels very easy to drive comparing it to my memory of the old one. Also the servo steering is helping out a lot in that regard. The steering is very vague though. I would be calling it shocking if I wasn't. To be shocked you have to be not expecting something. But having a lot of steering play in a US is not something that is really shocking me. But there is a lot of play. It's old school steering box that is connected to one wheel. Then a bar goes from that wheel to the other one. So there's a lot of possibility for play in that steering system. I did check it and it really feels like it's related to the steering box, and I think it's adjustable, but the owner wasn't really worried about it, as he told me. Before this he drove a lot of Niva and that also had a lot of play. There's a lot of big inputs needed to keep it in a straight line. It takes some getting used to, that's for sure. But other than that it feels almost like a new car, and that's because it is. It's probably, I think this is the newest car that I have ever driven. It's 6 years old. I don't think I have driven anything from that is younger than that. Yep. I think that's the. I think it is, and I'm gonna do my best to make it stay that way. The newest car that I ever drove is a UAZ Buhanka. That is tombstone material right there. It's honestly a pretty nice experience to drive this. But you really have to not be in a hurry, not because it's that slow, but people are just stopping me all the time to ask what it is and why it's here and what it can do and all that. It's really a conversation starter, that's for sure. I just mentioned how smooth I think the engine is. The owner told me that it's even better running on gas, so I'm gonna try that. I should just press this button down here and it should change to gas, I think. Yep, there we go. We're running on gas. Yeah, it actually feels smoother. The engine vibration went down a little bit. That's quite impressive. And still plenty of pulling power. That's quite fun. I'm gonna go back to petrol because we don't have gas in Denmark. There we go. Yeah, a bit of a change again. Interesting. But it feels like my repairs is a success. I don't feel any play in the ball joints or anything like that anymore. Still need to do some adjustment to the rear brakes. But apart from that, it's ready to go back to Spain, I think. I really enjoy this thing. The mix between the new and the old is just amazing. I got all the things that I love, the old design and the quirkiness and all that, and then some things that just makes it pleasant to drive, the fuel injected engine and the servo steering and ABS brakes and so on. It's a really nice mix, something that does not happen in the Western world, because the capitalism just won't allow to just continue to build the same thing over and over. People probably won't buy it. There is this thing about showing to other people that you bought something new. You have the money to buy the newest of something. If you buy this, nobody will know if it's from the 70s or from yesterday. It's just, I really like that. It's so much fun. And the thought about this car, a rural area, a big forest or something like that, a week travel time through something where you have to use the high and low gears and all that, no high-speed driving and bonfires every evening, and just a week in this with my family. I would really love that. That would be awesome. And honestly, just like I said on the valve I reviewed a couple of weeks back, I would probably get bored quite quickly with this in Denmark, because you're just driving around on tarmac all the time, and it's just not meant for that. But the charm that this thing got is off the scale. It's just amazing. Unfortunately, it's going back to the owner. I have to do a little bit more adjusting to the rear brake, and then then it's good to go back to Spain. Thank you, Peter, for allowing me to drive this a bit. And thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.